And hello, everybody, and welcome to Two Guys Talking Sports. I'm Pat McDonald with Radigan Media. Here's Tim Birney of the Sports Reports. Tim, no guest this episode, so we're just going to talk a lot of high school football, but also talk some high school golf and some other sports here. Why don't we start with the golf? Let's just get it out of the way because it's happened as we're recording this. They just wrapped up down there, District 4 golf at the White Deer Golf Course down there in Montgomery. Tell us what's going on heading into day 2 on Saturday.
Class AAA, Athens Junior Eli Hicks leads, 2 over par 74. Top 2 go to states. He's at 2 over. Jersey Shore golfers at 3 over, and then third place is 9 over. So basically, if Eli comes out and shoots a 78 on Saturday, the third place kid's going to have to shoot a 70 to beat him and go to states, So he's in pretty good shape unless, total meltdown. And he didn't do anything to show that it's going to happen. Ty Owen, I believe, is right in that second pack. I think he's at 80, so he's eight shots off the lead. He'd have to throw up a career round. But still a nice year for him as a sophomore. Maybe he can finish in the top 5. That's a hell of a showing.
And I will say I had Eli Hicks and some of the other golfers here on the Choice Morning Show this week, and he was saying there's a big difference between White Deer and Williamsport Country Club, so we'll see how he does at the tougher course down there in Williamsport.
Yeah, but it's tougher for everybody. That's the beauty of golf, And then in AA, Boom Thompson they take the top 6. Boom's in third, 2 shots off the lead. Graham Wells, I believe, is tied for 4th. It's a 4-way tie. They take the top 7. So he's in a 4-way tie. I think 4 shots off the lead. So if that grouping of that constitutes the top 7. Then the Hermanson boy from North Penn Mansfield is 1 stroke off 7th place. The Wellsboro golfers are just a couple strokes back. Bailey Clark from Tawanda is like 3 or 4 shots after that. So there's a lot could happen at Williamsport on Saturday in AA. But, nothing's locked up there. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's I like how they're doing the 2 days, and at different courses. Always used to be all at White Deer.
Yeah, I think that's pretty neat. I'll give District 4 credit on that one. I like that.
We'll see how they do on Saturday. See who makes it to the States down at the Penn State. I think Eli said they're going to play the blue course this year down at Penn State. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Let's go to football. Last week, in our area here in the Valley area specifically, obviously Athens rolled to a 54-7 win over Tawanda. The big news there was Tawanda stacked the box the entire night, so Athens decided we'll just throw the ball all night long. And 6 touchdowns, a school record. Did you find out?
As far as we can tell, I haven't heard any. We put it as a school record because everybody I talked to said they thought it was, and nobody's come forward and saying it wasn't.
So we think it's a school record. 6 touchdown passes for Connor Davidson. I mean, the only other options there are Mason Lister and Shane Roppers, I would think.
Yeah, and I guess it's possible back, but
Jason in the 04 year maybe. But
but they were a lot of running games. Yeah. Jack liked to run the ball. Back when I was in school, most everybody ran the ball.
So big win for Athens. They keep on that hunt for a home game in the District 4 Quad A playoffs. It's going to be tough, though. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Other games from our area, Tioga 35-18 win over BG. A little closer than I thought it would be, maybe.
Yeah, it wasn't that close. I mean, they scored late to make it 35-18. Tioga scored on its first 5 possessions and just they dominated play. But that's the thing with this Tioga team. Their defense is coming into form. They're not Logan Bellis has had some long runs, but like in this game against BG made them. It was a bend and don't break, but they eventually broke. It was one of those deals where they had to grind out some drives to score. But I think they can do that against teams. They've got a lot of kids that get the football. They can make plays. And Bombard's getting better and better throwing the ball. So I think they're going to be they're going to keep getting better.
It seems like they're rounding in the form. I could see that even that first week when they lost, to Windsor, right, 9-7. You can see that was without Bellis and on some other guys on offense. So, Tioga looking good. Number 1 in the state. See if they can stay there. Other NTL scores from Friday night. South Williamsport came to Sayre and got a 47-6 win. Troy keeps rolling along 46-0 over Wellsboro, while losing 42-7 winner over Canton. Muncie and North Penn Mansfield, a close one, 21-9. That was, probably the tightest game of the week, I guess.
Yeah, I was a little surprised it was that. I didn't think North Penn Mansfield had the horses to keep up with them, but they played pretty well defensively, must be.
Then finally, Montgomery, 62-0 over Northwest. No surprise there, I don't think. Go to Section 4. Owego, 20-6 win over Norwich. We both saw Norwich in person. Not too surprising that it was a close game.
No, but the Owego's defense has only given up 42 points in 5 games, and 6 of them, 1 touchdown was a pick 6.
Yeah.
So obviously they're playing some really good defense, and they played Shenango Forks and Main End well, and Norwich, who's got some talent offensively. So it's a pretty good defensive team. They're going to be, this Waverly Owego game is really shaping up to be
weekend,
a slobber knocker, as they would say.
Tight win over in Spencer Burnett and Candor, 24-22 over Delhi.
That's a big win for Spec.
Yep.
Delhi's defending Section 4 champion. Tioga did a number on Delhi. It was 7-6 at half. Delhi and Tioga was up 34-7 when Delhi scored in the final couple minutes to make it 34-14. I think this is a game Spec had to win to put themselves in the same breath as Tioga. That's going to be an interesting game because Spec's got some athletes. Those 3 kids, Logan Amon, Charlie Hilbert, and Jacoby Foster, are very athletic and very good. So there aren't going to be many teams that can shut them down.
Other scores, Oneonta, 31-14 winner over Trumansburg. Corning gets a win, 32-20 over, says Beeville here. Was that Baldwinsville. So, yeah, Corning on the board. Horsehead's a close win over Elmira. That surprised me, just the score, not the win. But Horsehead's a 19-14 win over Elmira.
Yeah, Elmira's always solid. I mean, that surprised me too. And I think, I don't know if Horseheads is a dominant football team. They're winning close games. I mean, they've won 3 close games this year.
Are they still without Bryce Thomas, though, or is he back?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's a big difference
yes,
there.
Definitely.
He might be one of the better running backs in the region. Maine Endwell, 30-27 winner over Vestal. So Maine Endwell gets their second straight win on the road against a decent Vestal squad, right?
Yeah, Vestal's only lost twice to Owego and to Maine Endwell, so...
Other games, Walton gets the win over Oxford, Green Oxford, 44-26. Ithaca, the slobber knocker you were hoping to cover, I know. Ithaca, 47-26 over Binghamton.
Yeah, it's talk about the two of the biggest schools in Section 4 with 2 of the worst football programs. Pretty amazing.
Windsor, 34-20 over Johnson City. Susquehanna Valley, 40-22 over Whitney Point. Groton, a 2018 winner over Sydney. And then some 8-man action. Dryden, 40-26. Over Newfield, Unitigo 32-29 over Moravia. Then move to Saturday, the big game of the week, biggest game of the week. Waverly got a 21-20 win over a state-ranked team in Union Endicott.
I've been doing this for 36 years, and I've never seen a football game with 38 penalty flags like there was at Endicott. I mean, Endicott, UE was penalized 22 times for 181 yards. Waverly had 7 flags for 95 yards. There were 3 offsetting calls, so that's 6 more flags, and there were 3 declined. So the game took 2 hours and 45 minutes between the fact that it was 90 degrees. So there was some cramping. So they had, it was, and the timeouts, it was brutal. And every time you thought there was a rhythm to the game, there's a flag. Both teams got penalized multiple times on big plays. They called them back. The play right before the 87-yard touchdown pass that made it 21-20, Waverly had an interception, and they got wiped out on offsetting penalties. The next play, UE scores. UE actually made the 2-point conversion. Looks like it was going to go ahead 22-21. Got called. The UE quarterback was scrambling around. They got called for a block in the backfield. They negated it, and then they had a 30-yard extra point attempt. It was wide left, so Waverly wins 21-20. Just a crazy game.
So, yeah, just I didn't get to catch that. I was down in Philly watching the Phillies get beat in the playoffs. But I was when I saw the score and kind of read about it, I was like, man, that's a good one. I could have called on the radio. But, I think just an awesome game in Section 4 and one of those games that might help this Waverly team as they
I think so. That UE quarterback was really good, and their running back was big. He was probably 215 pounds. Or 220, something like that, So I think their UE's going to be pretty good. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they beat Horseheads this weekend.
That's other scores on Saturday. Obviously, Kawanisky Valley 63-0 over CMVT, and then Deposit Hancock 35-13 over Newark Valley. Schuyler a 49-13 winner over Harpersville Afton, and then 8-man Edison 56-7 they roll over Lansing. Anything else surprise you last week?
Not really, but the Edison is ranked 3rd in the state in the latest New York State Sports Writers rankings, which is the highest ranking they've ever had. So it's pretty neat.
Yeah, they've been turning around here the last couple of years, it seems like, and putting together a good team. So
definitely.
Exciting stuff last week. We'll see what this week holds. Let's start with the big one here in the Valley. Maine Endwell at Waverly. I saw Maine Endwell at Owego, or home against Owego, and like you said, they needed that pick six and the 2-point conversion to get the win, as Owego's defense held them to probably under 100 yards of total offense. But now they've got 2 wins in a row and coming up the Valley. What do you think?
My head tells me that Waverly's going to win this game, and it should be 10, 14 point win, but it's just hard to bet against Maine Endwell. I'm going to take Waverly, but I think it's going to be close, 17-13, 17-10, something like that.
Yeah, this seems similar to when Waverly played Troy, and we both had Troy. We thought they just had a little bit of an edge, and Waverly, kind of shut Troy down a little bit as much as anybody can and got the win. And I think Waverly seems like the more talented team this year, but Coach Gallagher does such a good job up there at ME. You never know. I would guess it's still going to be close for a while, but I think Waverly might have too many horses right now especially up front. That line, that's what Owego dominated up front against Maine Endwell. So, and
if there's anybody in the section that, I think Waverly probably has the best unit in the section 4. Shanko Forks is really good, and Owego's obviously putting themselves into that conversation too.
I would pick Waverly there. Tioga, no problem. I'm assuming at Groton this week.
Shouldn't have. Groton's just coming back from 8-man football. They actually got a couple wins. They're 2-2 this year. They beat Sydney, who hadn't lost a game. They beat them last week. But I think Tioga's starting to put it together right now.
Spencer and Kander at Trumansburg. Obviously, T-Burg just got whooped on pretty good this past week, right? So I'm assuming Svek has a chance to roll.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Trumansburg, they're another one just coming back from 8-man. And they had a couple nice wins to start that kind of put them on my radar. And now they've lost a couple. So, yeah, and Svek, like I said, they're explosive. And I like them big this week.
We go back at home this week, taking on Windsor. We saw them against Tioga. But I would assume Owego's the favorite here.
Yeah, I think their defense has been shut down, and Windsor's offense they put up points against, for lack of a better word, bad teams. But against good teams, they've really struggled offensively. And I think Owego's defense has shown that, shutting down Maine Endwell, holding Forks to a touchdown, even without their first-string quarterback. I think they're pretty good defensively. I just don't see how Windsor gets anything going against them.
Yeah, Owego really impressive so far, even with a couple losses where, you lose to Forks by 1 and ME by 2. An ME game you should have won. Obviously, Forks without Paskey, so a little different there, but still I think Owego's done a nice job of reloading after losing 19 seniors to graduation.
I think they're the biggest surprise in our area this year. I just did not see them winning more than, 3 or 4 games tops.
The defense is there. I think their offense is still trying to find its footing there.
I like the Brace kid a lot. Dylan Brace, he's a stud, and he's only a junior, and he's on both sides of the ball playing very well.
So big game for them as they look to get another win before their game against Waverly next Saturday, the 18th. What else we got? Green Oxford at Newark Valley.
2 teams looking to try and Green Oxford just coming back to 11-man football. Newark Valley's been struggling the last couple of years. I like Newark Valley in this game at home, though.
Vestal at Elmira. I would think Vestal's maybe the favorite there, but Elmira obviously hung with Horsehead, so who knows?
Yeah, I think that should be a close game. I do like Vestal, though.
Yeah, Horsehead UE maybe the other big one between in Section 4 other than Waverly ME. Horsehead's at UE. That's a good one.
Yeah, I kind of, after watching UE firsthand, I like their quarterback a lot. Very, very quick, elusive, decent arm, but picked up a lot of yardage with his legs, and they got a big bruising tailback and another back that's kind of a different change of pace back. So they threw the ball effectively on a couple spots. So if Thomas is back for Horseheads, that's a whole different ball game. But I think I'm going to say UE in an upset this week.
Yeah, I think UE obviously showed they can play tough, and especially at home, close loss last week. So I'll go with Horseheads. Let's keep rolling with Coach Hillman and company, but we'll see. Corning, obviously, at Binghamton. I would doubt they have much of a problem up there.
I can't see it being very close.
Moravia at Notre Dame. That would probably, unfortunately for Notre Dame, be ugly.
Pretty much.
And then on Saturday, Dryden at Edison to wrap up the week in Section 4 play there.
Edison's on a roll, I guess. I mean, an 8-man football is pretty tough to play stout shutdown defense because of the way the field and stuff. But they've done it. They've got one of the best defenses in the state, I think. And I think they've been showing they've been able to score points. A lot of it off their defense. I think they win big again.
Let's go to the NTL on Friday night. Let's see. South Williamsport at Muncie. Interesting game there.
Yeah, this is one I waffled on all week. I can't really decide. I took Muncie because they're at home, but I can't get a really grip on this game. I like South Williamsport. I took 21-20 in my Friday pick column that comes out, and but I did it with very little conviction.
Yeah, I think I picked South in the Morning Times Daily Review pick 'em, but I could have gone either way on that one. Sarah at Towanda. I saw Towanda this past week, and they're extremely young, crazy young. But I saw some skill players on that team that if they could find a solid line maybe over the next couple of years, they're going to be decent. I think. And as much as Sarah, they got on the board again last week against South, but I know Towanda's record is awful, but I would think Towanda's still the
I think
favorite.
Yeah, and I think these kids Towanda's young players probably have played all the way up through, and a lot of Sarah's kids have not got a lot of experience at any level, so I got to go with Towanda.
Troy at home against North Penn Mansfield. Obviously, the Trojans will roll there.
The carnage continues.
Yeah. Holy Redeemer at Montgomery. I don't know much about the D2 squad and Redeemer there, but Montgomery's been really good.
Yeah, and Montgomery's put it to teams they should put it to, and Holy Redeemer, I believe, has only got one win, and that was against Susquehanna, who doesn't have any wins. So I think Montgomery rolls big in this
Valley
one.
At Northwest.
And I think Kawanuski Valley rolls big in this one, too.
And then the Canton at Wellsboro there. That's a Wellsboro win.
Yeah, Wellsboro's putting things together. Their program after a few down years, it looks like they're on the way back up. And Canton, they didn't have a lot of experience coming into this year, and what they had is all hurt. So they're playing with a really young team right now too. So I think Wellsboro wins that.
Yeah, I saw Wellsboro a couple weeks ago against Athens and the Masco kids and some other really talented guys out there. So I don't think Canton. Unfortunately, right now it's just going to be down a couple years for Coach Sechrist and the Warriors. Then Saturday, Athens gets their homecoming game going at 3 o'clock against Wyalusing. So obviously no problem on the field there for Wyalusing, although a lot of cool stuff. It sounds like the parade and the carnival and stuff beforehand. So it'll be a fun day at Alumni Stadium, to say the least.
Yeah, I think Athens is clicking on offense, and their defense has been pretty good too. Aside from the Troy game, and even then their defense wasn't bad. Just that's how good Troy is. Wyalusing's run the ball this year, but they haven't shown they can throw it at all, and I don't think they can run the ball enough on Athens to make it a game.
When Athens can pin their ears back kind of against one side of the one-sided offense, they're pretty good. And Brendan Cook seems to be getting healthier, but so we'll see if what Athens, how bad they put a beat down on Wyalusing. But they got a interesting, for a couple of weeks here. What do they got? They got Muncie next week, so that's probably their toughest test before the playoffs, but I don't think it'll be much of one.
Well, the funny thing is there's only 3 games left.
Yeah.
So they play Wyalusing, Muncie, and Sayre. Yeah.
And you hear stuff about Sayre's, numbers, and I know Athens, some people around the program a little nervous that they're going to have a game in week 10, which would, hurt them, I would think, standings-wise.
Well, I think they get a forfeit. And they'd get, but it doesn't matter whether they play the game or not. They're going to get the same points in playoffs, and Sayre's an A team, so it's not going to help them any.
Yeah, speaking of playoffs, that's the tough. We talked to Jack Young about it in our previous podcast about the scheduling and how it hurts Athens. Where Athens right now, I mean, they could go 9-1, and a team with 2 losses from the southern part of the state is most likely maybe both. They might be the 4th seed. They're closer to dropping from 3 to 4 than they are from jumping from 3 to 2.
Well, I mean, they're the only 3A school in the 4A. Yeah, they're the only 4A school in the league, and there's not even a 3A school. No. So everybody they're playing is AA and it's single A. And like I've said on this podcast before, and I said when we talked to Jack the other day, there's no reason that Athens should have to play the small schools in the NTL. And it just makes what they're doing just makes the jobs easier for the athletic directors. And they need to, there's no reason that Canton chooses to play large school, but there's no reason that Sayre or Northwest or whoever should be playing Troy and Wellsboro and Towanda when they're good and stuff. The small schools should be able to go out and find small school games, and there's plenty of them out there. Maybe the first year you'd struggle because schedules get made in advance.
Yeah, all PA, they all do 2-year deals, which is tough. But Canton, from my understanding, Northwest is leaving. Canton's going back to small school next year.
Okay, that's good.
And I think CV might be going up because they have the numbers, but I don't know. I'm not sure.
They have the numbers combined.
Yeah.
I mean,
football numbers. I think they got kids out at least. But anyway, so I think there's going to be some changes next year. But yeah, it's just ridiculous that, Athens really needs to play. If you want to keep the Rusty Rail game as the one small school team they play, fine, whatever. I don't like it, but I love it anyway. But I think Athens, play your large school and go down and find between, District 4 and District 2 and PA, and hopefully maybe try to find a Section 4 game, which it's tougher nowadays because because New York State starts so much later than PA. 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks.
Yeah, pretty much
for most of the state.
Yeah, it was this year. Yeah.
So interesting. Athens they love a home game, but they need Jersey Shore at 5-2. Jersey Shore's got Penwood, Scranton Prep, and Central Mountain left. So, and that's good. They're coming off a loss. I don't know how good Hollidaysburg is, but they beat Jersey Shore 52-7. So
they must be pretty good. They must be pretty good. They usually are. I mean, that's a pretty good program.
And then Shikellami's got a good Bloomsburg team. They have Danville and they have Southern. So there's some chances for losses there, but that's just to keep Athens out of the 4 seed. Yeah. Right now, Athens is a 3 seed, just not even a whole percentage of a point above Shikellamy. So it'd be interesting to see where they end up. District 4 AA is awesome right now. You got Warrior Run, Southern Columbia, Troy, and Bloomsburg all at 6-1 in the top 4 seeds. And I think it's going to be a fun playoffs, and we'll see. Hopefully, I'm just hoping Troy and Southern avoid each other in the semis, and get to play each other in the finals.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Warrior Run's pretty good.
And so is Bloom.
And so is Bloom. So that's 4. There's no guarantees for Southern Columbia or Troy.
I mean, Bloom's got wins over Danville, Central Mountain, Lewisburg. They beat Warrior Run 42-28. They lost to Loyalsock and got wins over Midwest and Hughesville. So Bloomsburg, we saw them last year. Cody White and I were doing the game on the bridge when they played Towanda in the playoffs, and they were very young and improving. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun District 4 playoff race, I think, in AA.
Yeah, I really hope that Troy and Southern Columbia play because I want to see how Southern Columbia reacts to having Troy put up 69 on them last year
and throwing the ball with a minute left or so.
So yeah, I'm really curious to see how Southern Columbia handles that.
I haven't seen Troy in a few weeks now, so I've thought all along that their offense is going to keep getting better with Mason Smith going from running back to quarterback, and
he's a great athlete.
We saw in the Waverly game, the botched pitch on the option. I'm sure they're working on that a lot over the probably every day, all day. And
I'm sure by now Gilliland's got his matter at hand, under control.
So he's not playing a ton right now. But it's just
So I think
such a beast though.
And Mason Smith's such a good athlete at quarterback that he's going to be. And then Jaden Cutt there is improving. I've seen a few highlights of him in the last couple of weeks, and
he's got big Cale Millard in there. So
big back Cale Millard. Yep. So
it's gonna be a fun District 4 AA playoffs. I think. Looking at the standings, Montgomery is right behind Line Mountain in those single A playoffs. So
I don't think Line Mountain's gonna have. I don't think Montgomery can play with Line Mountain, but
Line Mountain looks like they're the real deal.
Class of the A, yeah.
But fun down the stretch coming in District 4 and in Section 4. Got a little bit of time here. Should we talk?
Athens boys soccer clinched their first NTL title
and still have the scoreless
and still have not given up a goal in the NTL play. Pretty nice rookie year for Travis Raynard. The Zach Fisher in net got some good defense in front of him. They still struggle a little bit to score goals, but and that's going to come back to bite them at the district level. They'll play good defense. I think they've played a couple really good schools in New York State and Maine Endwell and Elmira and lost close games. But they're going to run into a different style of
Yeah, Williamsport came up and beat them 1-0, I think, up here.
Yep. So,
Alumni Stadium. So, Athens, I think it's safe to say the program's in good hands with Travis Renard after taking over Jake Lezak. I'm sure a lot of people saw the news. You hired a 22-year-old recent college grad to be the head coach, and he's done everything right so far.
I was one of them. I got to admit, I didn't know. I remember Travis when he played and stuff, but I didn't know him at all. And I've been impressed. He handles himself like he's much older than 22, and
the kids seem disciplined, and that's always the what makes people scared is you got a young coach. How is the team going to be disciplined, and they're going to be on the straight and narrow, I guess. And
so far so good. And the girls programs, Waverly and Athens, both playing just around 500, but both playing really tough schedules. Hopefully once the playoffs kick in, that pays dividends. But they're both, Waverly bumped up to Class A, so Maine Endwell's going to be really tough. And Athens in District 4 is tough soccer. So, I don't know how far either one of them can go, but I think they're both battle tested right now going into the playoffs. So. And Tioga, we didn't talk about Tioga girls last week. They've got a winning record. Senior Sophia Haney looks like she's coming off her second knee surgery. It looks like she's rounding into form. Grace Howie's a freshman. Haney set the school mark for career scoring last year goal-wise, and she's a placeholder now with Haney right behind her, with Howie right behind her. In a couple of years, I think she'll take that mark away from her. But they're a team that you could watch in the playoffs. Because they can really score. Those two up front are really good. And defensively, they've got some talent. Their keeper, Marcy Moniz, is pretty good. But again, you get up into Section 4, Class C and Class D soccer is real, and B, C, and D are really good. Yeah. Soccer in Section 4 is good. Every year they have teams in the finals or semis.
But before we wrap up here, and I want to talk about for a minute a little college football, let's thank our friends at UHS Sports Medicine.
UHS Sports Medicine is your team's partner, keeping you healthy both on and off the field. Learn more at nyuhs.org.
So let's talk, before we wrap up real quick, let's talk college football. Your team's going the right direction. I think you'll end up 10-2 in Penn State. I was down at Stateside Live, it's called now, the big bar and restaurant complex at the Phillies and Eagles Stadium there, and watching Penn State before I went to the Phillies Stadium, and then I watched on my phone the rest of the way and was just disgusted. Penn State went on the road and lost to the worst team in college football.
The funny thing is that UCLA had not only not won a game, they hadn't led at all.
And Penn State let them lead in the first 2 minutes of the game.
And I don't know. Penn State fell into the trap that a lot of schools fall into. They took James Franklin out of Vanderbilt when he turned Vanderbilt into a pretty good program, and they gave him a lot of money, brought him up there. Fans fell in love with him, thought he was going to be the savior because he could win it at Vanderbilt. Well, you know what? It's just like Brian Kelly winning at Cincinnati, coming to Notre Dame and not be able to win. And
I've always defended Franklin. I mean, I think he's a great program builder.
He's a good recruiter, no doubt about that.
In the program's really, it's no issues. And he can get, he's basically gotten you 10 plus wins most years. And right now, especially now in the college football playoff land, that gets you into the playoffs. And one thing he's always done is beat the teams he's supposed to beat. Like, he never loses. That UCLA game was such an outlier where he always beats the teams he's faced, which a lot of coaches will get upset once in a while, and he's never done that. But he can't win the big one.
Right.
Other than the block kicking to Ohio State, and then, a couple in the playoffs, but then they got stuck with playing Boise State and SMU, so even people don't give him credit for that either. So, but now I don't know if he doesn't. I was talking to somebody, Penn State fan, and they play at home this week against Northwestern. If Northwestern takes a 14-point lead down there, I think either they're going to all walk out or just the boos will be last. It'll be like an Eagles game when they're down 14-0. But yeah, because I don't know, they got too much talent there. Their biggest issue right now is they're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole with Drew Aller, who's a great quarterback, but you got to have the right system. They're running the college, RPO system when he's a straight up drop back passer, and it's stupid. They're running a system that that OC loves, but it's not the talent you have right now. So it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and they've got, obviously, I think they've got Ohio State left. That's their big.
In Indiana.
In Indiana.
Top 10 teams.
They should be Indiana, but I would have said they were going to crush UCLA.
Yeah,
so they've got 2 tests coming up. They've got to win them both, or I can't see them going to the playoffs with 3 losses. Notre Dame's got to beat USC.
That's their only one left.
And I think that's their only real tough game left. And
Pitt surprises people on the, although it's going to be all Notre Dame fans at Pitt,
Yeah.
I'm sure, just like when Penn State's there. The only time they sell out there was when Notre Dame or Penn State show up at Heinz Field or whatever they call it now.
But right now, I to be honest with you, Miami looks pretty good. They're good on both sides of the football, especially defensively. And Ohio State, for as much as Penn State fans are going to want to hear it, I still think they're the team to beat. I think it's Ohio State, Miami right now. Although
Ohio State's at Illinois this week, and a noon game. Always a weird time. Sometimes the kids don't wake up the right way early, and you never know. I like Brett Bielema; he's done a nice job. Indiana at Oregon. We'll see how Indiana the real deal. And that, by the way, Indiana's coach Kurt Cignetti, who coached at IUP forever. His dad was IUP guy. He could be a name to watch if Franklin, if somehow, if Terry Pagula, the Bills and Sabres owner and Penn State donor, decides to pay out $56 million to James Franklin. I think Cignetti could be a guy you could watch for as Penn State's next head coach.
And he doesn't like Notre Dame either, so he'll fit right in. But I was going to say the team for me right now to watch, and it's crazy to call these guys a dark horse considering the last 10, 15 years, Alabama.
Yeah.
I like their quarterback. They seem to, as much as DeBoer's been beaten up, Saban lost 7 or 4 games in his first year at Alabama. Granted, it wasn't the same situation. But I think DeBoer proved at Washington he could win, and I think he's going to be fine at Alabama.
They play at Missouri, though. That's interesting there. We'll see. I'm rooting for Bo Perbula, the old Penn State backup quarterback. Although for Drew Aller's sake, if Perbula goes undefeated this season, my God, it's the rash he's going to take down there in State College.
I don't think that's happening in the SEC. But
that's going to do it here for this episode of Two Guys Talking Sports. We once again want to thank UH Sports Medicine for sticking with us all year long and promoting student athletes here throughout the region. For Tim Birney and Pat McDonald, we'll talk to you next week.